It's 2 a.m. You check your phone for the 7th time in the last hour. The screen lights up your face in the darkness, but there's nothing there. No notification, no message, no call, just silence. And that silence is louder than any word she could have sent. You put the phone down, telling yourself you won't check again. But 3 minutes later, your hand reaches for it automatically, like a reflex you can't control. And the question that's been eating at you all day comes back with a vengeance. What does it mean when she doesn't call or text you? Most men will tell you it's simple. She's not interested. Move on. But if you're watching this right now, you know it's not that simple. Because the silence doesn't just hurt, it haunts. It makes you question everything. Every conversation you had. Every moment you thought you connected. Every time you thought you saw something in her eyes. And now there's nothing. Just this void where her attention used to be. And that void is revealing something about you that you didn't want to see. Here's what nobody tells you about modern relationships. The silent treatment isn't just a tactic. It's a mirror. And what you see in that mirror isn't her. It's you. It's your attachment, your neediness, your inability to sit with uncertainty, your desperate need for validation from someone who may not even be thinking about you right now. And that's the brutal truth that most men aren't ready to face. We live in a world where communication is instant, where you can reach anyone, anywhere, anytime. But that convenience has created a new kind of torture. Because now, when someone chooses not to reach out, it feels deliberate. It feels personal. You know she saw your message. You know she's been online. You know she could respond in 2 seconds if she wanted to. But she doesn't. And that choice, that deliberate silence, becomes a weapon that tears at your peace. The Stoics understood something profound about this kind of suffering. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Think about that for a second. When she doesn't text you, you're not suffering because of her silence. You're suffering because you've given her silence power over your internal state. You've made your peace dependent on her action. You've surrendered your emotional sovereignty to someone who may not even care about the throne. This is the mirror principle. Her silence doesn't tell you about her feelings. It reveals your attachment. It exposes how much of your self-worth you've placed in her hands. It shows you how far you've strayed from your own center. And once you see this clearly, everything changes. Let me tell you about a man I'll call Marcus. Not because he was particularly philosophical, but because what happened to him was a perfect example of this principle. Marcus met a woman at a friend's party. They talked for hours. The chemistry was undeniable. They exchanged numbers, and for the next 2 weeks they texted constantly. Good morning messages, late-night conversations, inside jokes. The kind of connection that makes you think you've found something rare. Then one day she went silent. No explanation, no warning, just radio silence. Marcus did what most men do. He sent a follow-up text, then another, then a casual, "Hey, everything okay?" message. Nothing. The silence continued, and it drove him insane. He couldn't focus at work. He couldn't sleep. He kept replaying their conversations, looking for the moment he messed up. Checking his phone became an obsession. Every notification made his heart race. But it was never her. After a week of this torture, something in Marcus broke. Not in a destructive way, but in a liberating one. He realized he had been waiting for her to give him permission to feel okay. He had handed over his emotional state to someone who had already moved on, or was testing him, or was dealing with her own issues that had nothing to do with him. He didn't know which. And that was the point. He couldn't know. And trying to know was destroying his peace. So Marcus did something radical. He deleted her number. Not out of anger or revenge, but out of self-respect. He stopped checking his phone. He redirected that anxious energy into his work, his gym routine, his friendships. And something fascinating happened. 3 weeks later, she reached out, with a long apology and an explanation about what she'd been going through. But by then, Marcus had already learned the lesson. He responded politely but briefly, because he was no longer waiting for her validation. He had found his center again, This story reveals something crucial about attraction and power dynamics that most men don't understand until it's too late. When you chase silence, you lose. When you need a response, you've already handed over your power. Because attraction isn't built on availability, it's built on value. And value isn't demonstrated by how quickly you respond or how desperately you pursue. Value is demonstrated by how well you maintain your frame. When someone withdraws their attention, here's the dark truth that nobody wants to say out loud. Sometimes, her silence is a test. Not a conscious manipulative test, but an unconscious evaluation of your emotional stability. She wants to see if you'll crumble, if you'll chase, if you'll become needy and desperate. Because those behaviors signal low value. They signal that you don't have options, that you're not busy with a meaningful life, that you need her more than she needs you. And that imbalance kills attraction faster than anything else. But here's the other side of that truth. Sometimes, her silence has absolutely nothing to do with you. She's genuinely busy. She's dealing with her own problems. She's not as invested in the connection as you are, and that's okay. She doesn't owe you her time or attention. And this realization that not everything is about you is actually liberating, because it means you can stop torturing yourself with interpretations and start focusing on what you can control, your own response. The Stoic approach to this situation is radical in its simplicity. Accept the silence. Don't fight it. Don't try to fill it with explanations or what-ifs. Just observe it. Notice how it makes you feel without judging those feelings. Notice the anxiety rising in your chest, the urge to reach out, the stories your mind creates about what her silence means, and then let it all pass, like clouds moving across the sky. Because the truth is, you don't need to know why she's silent. You just need to know that your peace doesn't depend on her breaking that silence. This is where Stoicism and modern psychology intersect in a powerful way. The Stoics taught detachment from external outcomes. Modern psychology teaches us about anxious attachment and validation-seeking behavior. When you combine these insights, you get a clear picture. When you need her to text you, you're operating from a place of scarcity. You're saying, I don't have enough value in my own life to feel okay without your attention. But when you can sit with her silence and remain centered, you're operating from abundance. You're saying, I'm complete whether you respond or not. And here's what's fascinating. That energy shift is palpable. People can sense when you're needy versus when you're centered. It comes through in your tone, your timing, your entire vibe. A man who sends 3 follow-up texts in one day is broadcasting neediness. A man who doesn't reach out at all, who continues living his life with purpose and direction, is broadcasting value. And value attracts. Neediness repels. So let's break down what her silence actually means, because there are really only 4 possibilities, and understanding them will set you free. First possibility, she's testing your frame. Whether consciously or unconsciously, she's seeing how you'll react to her withdrawal. Will you panic? Will you chase? Will you become emotional and demanding? Or will you remain calm, centered, and indifferent to her absence? This isn't about playing games. It's about her intuitive understanding that a high-value man doesn't fall apart when one woman steps back. He has mission. He has purpose. He has options. And if you respond to her silence with silence of your own, not from spite, but from genuine focus on your own life, you pass the test. Second possibility, she's genuinely busy and you're not her top priority yet. This is the hardest one for men to accept because it wounds the ego. But it's often the most accurate. Maybe she's dealing with work stress, family issues, health problems, her own emotional baggage from past relationships. And in her hierarchy of needs right now, texting you back just isn't high on the list. This doesn't mean she's not interested. It just means the connection hasn't reached the level where you're a priority. And you can't force that. You can only create space for it by being someone worth prioritizing. Third possibility, she's waiting to see if you'll chase. This is the darker interpretation, but it happens. Some women, just like some men, enjoy the validation of being pursued. They withdraw to see if you'll come running. If you do, it confirms their value and your lower status in the dynamic. If you don't, one of two things happens. Either they reach out because they actually were interested, or they move on because they weren't that invested anyway. Either way, by not chasing, you gain clarity. Fourth possibility, she's moved on and your attachment is keeping you stuck. This is the one most men avoid facing. Maybe the connection wasn't as strong as you thought. Maybe she met someone else. Maybe she realized you weren't compatible. Whatever the reason, she's already emotionally checked out, and the only person still in the relationship is you. The silence isn't a test or a game. It's just disinterest. And the sooner you accept that possibility without making it mean something about your worth, the sooner you can move forward. Now here's where this gets practical. Here's what you actually do when she doesn't call or text. You don't play games. You don't punish her with silence. You don't calculate how long to wait before responding if she ever does reach out. Instead, you do something much more powerful. You genuinely let go. Try this exercise. For the next 48 hours, commit to complete digital silence. Not just with her, but with everyone who drains your energy. Turn off notifications. Put your phone in another room when you're home. And during those 48 hours, redirect every ounce of attention you would have spent checking for her message into something that builds you. Hit the gym harder than you have in months. Work on that project you've been putting off. Read that book. Have that deep conversation with a friend. Create something. Build something. Become so absorbed in your own growth that her silence becomes background noise. What you'll discover during this exercise is profound. You'll notice the exact moment when the anxiety peaks, usually around hour 6. You'll feel the urge to check your phone like an addict needing a fix. But if you push through that moment, something shifts. By hour 12, the need starts to fade. By hour 24, you realize you've gone hours without thinking about her. By hour 48, you've remembered who you are without her validation. And that version of you, the one who doesn't need her response, is the version that attracts naturally. This isn't about manipulation. This isn't about making her want you by ignoring her. This is about genuinely reclaiming your power. Because the truth is, you had it all along. You just gave it away the moment you decided your emotional state depended on her action. The ancient Stoics practiced something called negative visualization. They would imagine losing everything. They had their possessions, their relationships, their status, not to be pessimistic, but to appreciate what they had and prepare for loss. Apply this to your situation. Imagine she never texts again. Sit with that. Feel it fully. The disappointment, the rejection, the end of possibility. And then realize you're still here. You're still breathing. Your mission still exists. Your value hasn't decreased. Nothing fundamental about you has changed. The only thing that's changed is your attachment to an outcome. When you can genuinely accept the worst-case scenario, you free yourself from the anxiety of waiting for the best case. And paradoxically, that freedom is what makes you magnetic. Because people are drawn to those who are complete without them, not to those who need them to feel whole. So here's what her silence really means. Stripped of all the stories and interpretations, it means you have an opportunity to practice detachment, to strengthen your emotional discipline, to prove to yourself that your peace doesn't depend on external validation, to become the kind of man who can lose someone's attention without losing himself. And maybe, just maybe, that's the whole point. Maybe this silence isn't about her at all. Maybe it's about you finally learning the lesson you've been avoiding your whole life, that you are enough exactly as you are, whether anyone acknowledges it or not. The next time you reach for your phone, hoping to see her name on the screen, pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, am I checking because I need her validation, or because I'm genuinely curious? If it's the former, put the phone down. If it's the latter, check if you want. But don't let what you find, or don't find, change how you feel about yourself. This is the path of the Stoic warrior. Not avoiding relationships, not becoming cold or closed off, but entering them from a place of wholeness rather than need. Offering your presence as a gift, not as a plea. and having the strength to walk away from connections that don't serve your peace, even when your heart wants to hold on. Her silence is not rejection, it's revelation. It's showing you exactly where you still need to grow, exactly where your ego is fragile, exactly where you've placed your power in someone else's hands. And once you see that clearly, you can take it back. Not with anger or bitterness, but with quiet, unshakable strength. So let her have her silence. You don't need to understand it. You don't need to fix it. You just need to respect it and continue building your life. Because the right person won't leave you guessing. The right connection won't require you to sacrifice your peace. And until you find that, your job is simple. Become so focused on your purpose, so grounded in your value, so committed to your growth, that anyone's silence, including hers, becomes irrelevant to your inner state. That's freedom. That's power. That's Stoicism in action. If this message hit you differently, if you felt something shift while listening, leave a comment below. Tell me, what's one moment where silence taught you more than words ever could? And if you're ready for more truths that most men avoid, subscribe and turn on notifications, because we're just getting started. This is Stoic Truth, where silence becomes strength.